So there has been a long-standing rumor that some kind of brand new Donkey Kong project is indeed in the works for the Nintendo Switch console, as clearly it has been since 2014 since we have had a true fresh DK experience with Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. And in today's video, I want to boot up the original DKC together, walk down memory lane, share some of my nostalgia with this game, and have a broad discussion of where these rumors stem from, and discuss some brand new information that just hit the internet that has people revisiting this topic on whether or not Nintendo is planning something for Donkey Kong on the Nintendo Switch in 2022. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we are revisiting that long rumored topic of, is there something going on between Nintendo and Donkey Kong, as there has been tons of different rumors, speculation, talk that yes, indeed, something is in the works for DK and the Nintendo Switch, and you might just come to that conclusion naturally because it's been so long since we've had a mainline iteration in this franchise, as Trop had a fresh experience with DK since 2014, and you know, that's like 8 years ago now at this point, so we need to see something happen soon. DK is not one of those franchises that doesn't sell. It's actually a very well-performing franchise in Nintendo's arsenal of different, you know, games that they have that they put out, so you'd expect one to hit by now. Now, before we walk down memory lane and play through one of my favorite games of all time, which is Donkey Kong Country, I want to first share with you all the reason that this is back on my radar, as there is a brand new Nintendo Life article that is posted up. I'll have that linked in the description down below in case you guys want to read through the entire thing. However, there is a tweet in reference that is being shared around that we will read through together, kind of showing the reason that this topic has surfaced again. As you can see, the following posted up. My Twitter account, KRuleCountry, spelled with all K's, which is a fantastic name, by the way. Nintendo has updated the trademark for Donkey Kong. Rather than being a routine extension of an existing trademark, this is a new trademark with updated verbiage pertaining specifically to video games, including downloadable programs for portable and electronic consoles. Was working on anything with Donkey Kong, and while that may absolutely be the case, it is a little bit more notable than a typical trademark renewal of something existing, as it is specifically referencing video games, downloadable programs on consoles, you know. So whether or not it's something that's just kind of future-proofing Donkey Kong for iterations on the Nintendo Switch with multiple different projects they have going on, or if it's an indication of those long-standing rumors of the Donkey Kong games potentially being on the works and on the way to the Nintendo Switch, that remains to be seen. But there is a few different sources that reported on this, one of which I've stopped paying attention to. At once upon a time, Zippo was leaking stuff online that ended up being quite accurate in terms of, you know, their track record of projects coming to the Switch, and then somewhere along the lines they went completely off the rails, and a lot of the things like, you know, not Donkey Kong, but Mario Kart Crossroads they were claiming would be coming at the Direct. Of course, it ended up being Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. It starts to seem like Zippo over the course of time has had less and less of a quality track record, so that's not where I would pay the most attention to the source. There was a YouTuber that I'm not sure that you can put any reliability into in terms of their inside information that claimed it, but Nintendo Life themselves actually wrote an article basically stating what that YouTuber had said, and then that they had a very trusted source that they had heard that the project was in the works from as well, that they particularly believed, and I would tend to believe Nintendo Life more. Now, I'm going to die a lot while talking through this because I wanted to play one of my favorite levels, as the soundtrack is just next level. The difficulty is absolutely there with the bear. If you were playing this originally on the SNES back in the day, like, you were blown away as a kid, and it's still one of my favorite levels to come back to. I have not fully completed DKC on my gosh, this is going to be a rough one, guys. I've not fully completed DKC on the Nintendo Switch since it came to NSO, so I figured I would continue my file here, but of course I did backtrack a little bit because I did actually make it further than this. But to get back to that, you know, DKC, whether or not it's happening, or whether it's probably not called DKC, it might just be called Donkey Kong. Couple things in addition to just the rumors that we know about this. So besides it just being time for Donkey Kong to come back, because clearly that's the case since it's been 2014 since Tropical Freeze, you also have things like the Nintendo theme park, and we know that Nintendo, this level might be too rough to talk and do this at the same time, not to mention this barrel precision is just next level, so we're gonna give up on that. I'm gonna go to the next section, which is another stage I love in the ice section. or the ice levels rather. So you have the Nintendo theme park expanding. We know Donkey Kong is next up on the list alongside Mario. Now you can say that, you know, Mario's always got something in the works, so it's not like they necessarily need to launch anything like Mario and the theme park at the same time, although that Mario movie's coming out with the launch of 3, and there's a lot of speculation that Nintendo's working on something to get ready for their DK expansion, and they might do something like a video game, maybe even a movie as well alongside of it, as you have things like Nintendo stating in investors meetings and things that, you know, they want to do a multi-stream revenue approach with a lot of their being cinema and then also being like live in-person experiences, as, you know, there's a whole new generation of kids growing up that are playing the Switch that, you know, are going to recognize these characters and are going to spend money on merchandise and things. And so that's a whole new revenue stream for Nintendo. Then you have people like me who just grew up playing these games, and, you know, quite honestly, in my opinion, the Donkey Kong Country 1 through 3 games, really 1 and 2 being the biggest standouts, as I replayed those the most. Not saying 3 is bad, I just think when directly compared to 1 and 2, it's maybe not quite to the same standard in my personal opinion. But 1 and 2 specifically, I would argue, are probably some of the all-time best 2D platformers, period. And you really got to plan these jumps out correctly, because those ropes automatically make you go up, and then these ones automatically make you go down. So it's kind of they knew what they were doing with this level design, and I absolutely love it. See if we can get through this without dying. Oh, he just respawned back in. That was definitely like one of those BS things that could have taken me out. But so I will tell you guys that, you know, I'm just so ready for a Donkey Kong experience. Now, there's a lot of talk about whether or not this would be some kind of 2D or 3D project, and, you know, clearly we don't know what they're planning there. I believe the rumor is that something between 2D and 2.5D. Do we see it take the way of like a Kirby and the Forgotten Land, where it's like a fixed, like, you know, obviously all 3D world and all that, but more like a fixed camera angle, kind of similar to Super Mario 3D World as well? Like, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I might as well not go for that G, because I don't think I got all the other Kong letters, but, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to that kind of gameplay style. However, I also, we'll go play Minecart Madness just for fun to kind of keep this interesting, because that's another classic level that I love playing through. So, you know, to basically speculate on what style of game it would be, I think that you could, oh, wait a minute, I went to the wrong area. This is not the, this is, I need to go one section ahead, so bear with me here. You know, we could definitely see it done in another 2D iteration. I think a lot of people have argued, and I honestly would kind of agree with that. While I love 2D, no, Stop and Go Station, Minecart Madness, Minecart Carnage. Why am I remembering that it was called Minecart Madness? Am I crazy? Is there a different level called Minecart Madness? You guys let me know in the comments down below, but I've always called this Minecart Madness, unless that's one of those medallia effect type things that is not really called that at all. Anyway, so we'll get back on track here. It's kind of hard to stay focused when playing the games at the same time. I think that 2D Donkey Kong and the side-scroller format has been done to perfection. I would argue that Tropical Freeze, while it's like not so nostalgic like these games are, and I don't find myself going back to play it after beating it a couple times, both on the Wii U and the Switch, I also, you know, I could enjoy another 2D Donkey Kong, but I do feel like it has had that like the correct treatment given to it, and you can argue that maybe there's, you know, maybe something a different gameplay style would be more enjoyable at this point. And I would love to see, you know, if I think it may have only been Zippo that said this, so take this part with a huge grain of salt, obviously, but it's claimed that it's the same team that's working on or the same team that works on Super Mario Odyssey games, or a branch of it at least, is what is developing the Donkey Kong game. That also, according to Zippo, is already done, which whether or not that's the case, who knows, but Nintendo does sit on projects until they see fit to release them. So, you know, it's one of those things that whether or not this is done, that's all up for debate and speculation, but I do think that it's like, do they go true up 3D since it's the Odyssey team? Like, it's obviously a hard task to pull off a quality 3D platformer, and so I would love to see their hand at that. Like, what is Donkey Kong mechanics with the creative minds of the people who, you know, made Mario Odyssey? What does that turn into as a project? And that might be the real killer app for Donkey Kong to bring him back in a big way in the mainstream on the Switch. Maybe even, you know, it's possible clearly that this would launch on something like the Switch 2. This is such a ridiculous level. And then even past all of that and all those crazy jumps, there's still one final section where they try to send one final guy just to take you out. It's kind of next level crazy. But, you know, whether or not it's out on this Switch or the next Switch, whether or not it's 2D or 3D, I'm ready for anything But you know, you have to have that conversation, is like, has 2D been done all the way, and is it time for Donkey Kong to get the Mario treatment? And I personally would be here for it, although if we are going to believe the rumors of what this project is, the 2.5D is probably where I would set my expectations, and I'll be curious to see if they do some kind of fixed camera thing where it's like that Kirby and the Forgotten Land or Mario 3D World type of treatment, you know. So that's all kind of the stuff that you have to keep in mind with the possibility of seeing this. I think we're going to take the L on this level too, and let me check my time here. So, you know, that's going to be one of those things that we just have to ultimately see. But it's like, I really feel like I could go for a 2D Donkey Kong again, but then there's the other part of me that is just ready to see something entirely new for Donkey Kong. And then also the claim is that they're ditching the country moniker to kind of, you know, separate itself from the previous forms of games, kind of claiming that it would be something new in terms of gameplay altogether. As you know, Donkey Kong Country, you think of these 2D classic platformers. We had a long gap between Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, then the classic DK64, which, by the way, fantastic rare game. Where is that at on NSO plus expansion pack? I don't know, but I hope Nintendo brings it to us. And let's not mess this up, because I definitely want my checkpoint. So, you know, whether or not we see that game make it over, that was like really the first breakaway attempt at a 3D Donkey Kong, and it's not really gone back to that ever since. Some people would argue that that's not the best 3D game, and I don't know how it's aged because I haven't played it in forever, but I do have enough nostalgia that I'd be excited to go back and play it. And then I also think that it's like, you know, I don't think that they go like that exact formula. I'm sure they change it up a lot versus like all the playable characters and how they did that. But past Donkey Kong 64, you had like the GameCube iteration, which was essentially the Jungle Beat, you know, and they went more rhythm. It was still kind of platforming in the background, but you're playing with like the bongos, ideally, if you bought that set. And that was a real departure for what you'd expect from a DK game. Then on the Wii, we finally got the return, which was called Donkey Kong Country Returns, of that classic 2D platformer style. And that was a fantastic experience through and through. And then ultimately the Wii U being that final entry that we've had in the series since, being Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which is it just really took everything that Returns was and cranked the difficulty up even further, in my opinion. I remember dying numerous times in that game before getting through it. But, you know, so lots of fun to be had, whether it's 2D or 3D. But I think if I'm just going to say it objectively, it's time to do something different with Donkey Kong. As much as I would love just this classic playstyle that I enjoy playing so much right now, going back and playing it, you know, with the SNES controller that I legitimately grew up with, but now, of course, Nintendo doing all these great things with wireless iterations of these and bringing these games back easily playable on NSO. Like, all this stuff is great, but I do feel like it is time for Donkey Kong to have some kind of new change in the mechanics, so kind of just new experience of gameplay experience. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts, nostalgia around Donkey Kong specifically. Do you have that hardcore itch to go back and play some of these classic 2D platformers like the Donkey Kong Country 1 through 3 games? How would you like to see DK brought back in the modern era? Do you think we have a chance of it being a surprise 2022 title? I would maybe temper my expectations more to say 2023 at the earliest, if at all, in terms of an announcement, but maybe it's something that would be a big show closer, or at least a big show opener at something like that September Direct that we're now going to look forward to, since the summertime events definitely didn't go according to, I think, what many people were expecting from Nintendo, because clearly they're just always unpredictable at the end of the day. But, you know, what are your thoughts and nostalgia for Donkey Kong? If you had to pick a particular gameplay style that you would want to see Nintendo bring him into in the future for the Switch and the new iteration, what do you think that is? And then do you think that there's a chance that we're really not going to see anything Donkey Kong at all, and for the foreseeable future we just don't get any more iterations of DKC or DK at all? And so regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today in the video, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the weekend video next if you haven't already, where we revisit and break down the latest updates around the topic on whether or not we can expect games like Metroid Prime 1 Remaster and or Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD to hit the Nintendo Switch in 2022. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.